Hey everybody, it's Allison here, Common Ground Gardens. So I always get asked the same questions over and over, so I decided to make two videos for the two most common questions that I always get. So today's video is going to be on how do I start vegetable gardening, my favorite subject. So there's three things I recommend for everybody when they first start and they've never grown before. Might surprise you a little bit, we'll see. But I'm going to show you how to start veggie gardening. Now, sorry. Hopefully you have a smaller bed than I have. Hopefully you have a bed that's maybe 4x6, 3x6, or you have some awesome containers on your patio, nice big deep containers, something like that. There's a couple things you need to do to get your garden off to the right start and make it easier on you. So the first thing that you're going to do when you are approaching your brand new garden is you're going to prepare the soil, which is not the fun part, I understand, but it is the most important part. And in fact, you as a vegetable gardener are going to put just as much effort into making your soil great as you are to actually growing and picking your vegetables. So let's talk about getting your garden bed ready. So here's your dirt. I'm sure it looks covered with weeds and rocks and is horrible. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to dig up your garden at least this deep, an entire shovel full, all the way down, about a foot, and you're going to turn it over the entire bed. Oh, I got my chicken all excited. Turning over the dirt. She likes it. She likes it. Alright, so turn over your dirt, work it good and deep, and pull out all your weeds, pull out all your rocks, and after that, go and get a couple of bags, a couple of bags of well-rotted compost. Not manure. I don't want you to go buy steer manure or chicken manure. I want you to buy well-rotted compost. And it could be anything you want. There's a million varieties. There's organic, there's name brand stuff, there's local varieties, which I always recommend. If you need to get the inexpensive one, do that, no problem. It could be mushroom compost, it could be chicken manure pellets, whatever it is. But it needs to be rotted, it needs to be ready to go. Anything that says manure on it is hot. Don't put it on your garden. That's for later. So I don't have a bag of compost to show you guys, I'm sorry, because my garden is fertilized with well-aged chicken poop that I get for free out of my chicken pen. So go ahead, get maybe 2 or 3 bags, maybe 2 bags of that compost, and work it into your soil. And now you're going to be ready to plant. If you would like to, also buy, slow release fertilizer, organic slow release fertilizer. They're these little pellets, and over about 3 months they release nutrients to the veggies. They're made for vegetables, not for blooms. So that's what you want. I'm amending my garden later with some minerals. You don't need to buy that now if you don't want to. Don't spend too much money, don't go crazy. Because the next thing I want you to get for sure is a little pricey. But the place people fail in their vegetable gardens is getting it watered. People have to work. You're gone all day long, but your vegetables don't know that. They need to be watered. They need to be taken care of. And if you're gone for 4 days, your whole garden can burn up if it's hot enough. So that's no good. So here's what I want you to do. Believe it or not, I want you to not start without buying a soaker hose. Please go out and buy yourself a soaker hose or maybe a drip irrigation line if you know how to install that. But this is super easy. You can buy it at any big box store. It hooks right into your hose, and this waters vegetables perfectly because vegetables need to be watered low and slow, so that the water slowly goes into the soil super deep. If you just say, oh, I've got a sprinkler system, it's fine, my stuff gets watered. Sprinkler is designed to water grass roots, which are this deep, maybe this deep. Vegetable roots are like easily, this deep, or like 6 feet if you're talking about a tomato. So anyway, get a soaker hose, and you're going to set it so that when you go outside and check on the water, you're going to take your finger and you're going to stick it into the ground, and it's going to be a good this deep, nice and wet. Your veggies are going to love you for it. Also, what I really want you to buy, if you can afford it, a timer. This is going to save your life and make you actually enjoy gardening. You're going to have your soaker hose and your timer hooked up. You're going to set it for the amount of time it needs to be watered for your area, so you get that nice deep root penetration without blowing your water bill out of the sky. So if you can afford it, do this. If you can't, do this. Put a timer on your phone so you remember to run outside and turn on that soaker hose for 20 minutes, 3 times a week, maybe 2 times, or even more than that in the beginning. You want to keep those babies fed. So I have a timer on my phone. Go feed your tomatoes is what it says. So at least do that. Maybe you are going to water while you have your coffee in the morning. Maybe you're going to water in the evening for a half an hour while you watch your favorite TV show. Whatever. Just figure that out, put it on a timer, and it will make everything so much easier than standing there with the hose and trying to remember to run out and water your vegetables. Now, the third thing that I recommend for people is don't plant from seed when you're first starting. I want you to go out and buy little teeny vegetables. I recommend a local nursery. Quality is awesome. The vegetables do well in your specific area. If you have to buy from a big box store, then go ahead and do that. Just know that they buy by huge regions, not by your area. So they might actually have some things that don't do well in your area. Plus they're like 4 times more expensive. This cost me $1.99. It's 4, it's actually like 6 cauliflower plants in here. It's hard to beat. 50 cents a plant, then I don't feel so bad when I kill it. But if you start from your little veggies, you have so much better chance of actually getting vegetables. And it's way more exciting. It's not that easy to germinate things from seed unless you're very diligent, you know exactly when to put them in the ground. Now the only exception is I would buy green beans from seed for sure. They pop right up. If you look at my Instagram post from last year, my green bean seeds germinated and were this big in a week. It was crazy. That's unusual, but anyway, green bean seeds if you want. There was one more seed. Oh, if you really want, you could get zucchini seeds. Although honestly, you don't need more than 1 zucchini plant, so you might as well just buy the plant. Now, I want you to buy certain things, honestly, when you first start. I'm going to give you some stuff that's easy to grow. Definitely get a tomato. Tomato garden is like, it's the #1 vegetable in the United States. People literally have a garden just to have tomatoes, and they're fantastic. I mean, that's the whole point of gardening. Even if you live in the city and all you have is a pot, go get a tomato. They're fantastic. Excuse me. You want to grow things like zucchini. They're big bang for your buck. It's a big plant, but you'll get lots and lots of vegetables out of it. Definitely green beans. I'm a huge fan of green beans, and I would personally get the pole beans, the ones that say that they're runners or poles, because you get like 5 times more beans for the same seed. Bush beans are great. They grow really, really well. If you want bush beans, go ahead. I'm just saying, I'm all about the money. So I grow pole beans, but every little bean needs a stick or a pole to climb up. But it doesn't have to be anything fancy. Could be a broom handle. It doesn't matter. They don't care. I love squash, tomatoes, green beans. What else? Peppers. Oh my gosh, I love hot peppers myself. They grow super easy. Or bell peppers are a little bit harder to grow because it's really hard to get them to grow to maturity without getting sunburnt. So, but I grow them anyway. Mini bells are my favorite, the little tiny ones, and they just pump out peppers. They're fantastic. And I also would grow a couple herbs. Just be sure and get the plant. Don't try to grow herbs from seed. It's really hard. In fact, if I had only a couple of pots, let's say I was in the city, have a little tiny patio, I would get a cherry tomato and I would get a couple of herbs, because you'll be able to harvest them, you'll be able to use them in your cooking, and that small little amount of gardening is going to make a big difference in the quality of food that you eat. There's a couple of things I can't recommend for your first year of gardening. Please don't try and grow carrots. Carrots are really hard to grow. Seems like they would be so easy, but they're really not. The soil needs a lot of prep. Onions are difficult to grow. We always grow lots of like lettuce, broccoli, kale. All those things are actually really easy to grow. In fact, grab my little broccolis. The collard greens, broccoli, it's the same thing. It's not just the flower head that you're waiting for. All the leaves are edible. You can cut these off and use them in your salad. They are delicious and they're really good to wrap burgers with if you're gluten-free. So there's some things that I recommend personally. You want to have a really fun time the first time you're gardening, especially if you're getting your kids into it. So compost, dripper hoses, and buy plants, not seeds. That's how I recommend starting your garden. I hope it works out. There'll be lots more tips along the way. Of course, you have a million more questions, and we'll talk about those too. So have a great day from Common Ground Gardens. Bye, guys.